From the Grand Grimoire to the Book of Lies by Aleister Crowley, there are so many dark and mysterious books that are definitely cursed. I'm Melissa Bellotti, your host, and here are your top 10 mysterious books that hold ancient curses. In our number 10 spot, we have the Voynich Manuscript. There is a book that is said to be from the 15th century that was once purchased by an antique book dealer by the name of Wilfrid Voynich in 1912. The book is quite odd as it is written in a sort of code that has many historians scratch their heads. No one has been able to crack the code of this book, but it is believed to be the holding place for medical instructions, as there are illustrations of herbs, plants, astrology, people, animals, and maps. Clearly a witch's book. Most recently, after many years of studying the book, a German Egyptologist by the name of Rainer Hannig believed that he figured out how to translate the book. He has said that the book is seemingly written in a Semitic language such as Hebrew or Arabic, and that it will still take a few years to translate it in its entirety, as the peculiarity and vocabulary of the period will be cause for it taking some time. The book is currently in Yale University's Rare Book and Manuscript Library. Next up, in our number 9 spot, we have the Urantia Book. This book is so mysterious that no one actually knows who wrote it. The book was said to have been written between the period of 1924 to 1955, and it was found in Chicago. The book talks about the meaning of life, God, Jesus, philosophy, and science. It apparently tells the story of Jesus as if he were a regular man, not the miracle worker he was portrayed as in the Bible. Urantia is Earth. The book came into the public's awareness because of doctors William and Lena Sadler, who have said to have been given the book by their neighbor. Their neighbor claimed that her husband was channeling some other worldly being. He started to write the messages down that he channeled, and it eventually became this book. The identity of the man was never revealed, as it was said that the authors being channeled never wanted any human name to be associated with the book. Interesting. Reminds me a little of Esther Hicks, who channels the entities who she calls Abraham, but unlike her books, this one seems quite dark and possibly cursed. In our number 8 spot, we have Les Prophéties. This is a very famous book that arguably is filled with ancient knowledge than curses, but there are supporters on both sides of these perspectives. Written by Michel de Nostradamus, the French alchemist, doctor, and claimed seer who could supposedly view future events before they happened. He wrote this book in the year 1555, predicting future events that have been said to have come true and events of the time while he was still alive. This is a highly acclaimed book that in recent times has become way more popular because of certain predictions coming true. He apparently predicted the assassination of the American president John F. Kennedy, the French Revolution, and some speculate that he predicted Hitler. A very famous part of the book depicts a young child growing up in the west of Europe from a poor family. His tongue will seduce a great troop and his fame will increase towards the realm of the east. Hitler was actually very popular in a city in Germany that was in the northeast, Berlin. He also managed to persuade many to join his cause and grew up from a poor family in the west of Europe. Seems like a perfect fit, if you ask me. I have actually been fascinated by this book for many years, and I wonder what prediction may come true next. Coming up in our number 7 spot, we have the Popol Vuh. This is a text written in the mid-1500s, and its name directly translates to the Book of the People. It discusses the Mayan language of Kaish, and it talks about the creation of mankind and animals. The book talks about how apparently before the creators of the world formed the earth, there was only sky and sea. Makes sense. Then they created animals, then mud men, then wooden men, and then 4 men out of corn. Sounds like the author was on some kind of illicit substance. Apparently women were made while the men were sleeping. Sounds like quite the weird tale that I could probably stand by saying that it's most likely cursed. The author sure seems like he was under some kind of spell to think up the idea of men being made of corn. Just ew. In our number 6 spot, we have the Cavern of Death. This is a very mysterious book, as it is actually one that was published anonymously. It is seemingly a fictional horror novel, but people believe it to possibly hold some weird dark magic within its pages, but that could also be because it was written around the time of 1794 and people were more religious back then. The story is about Sir Albert, who survives a journey through the Black Forest, only to find out that the love of his life is engaged to a wealthy old baron. In a quest to save his love, Sir Albert finds himself in the Cavern of Death, which is full of horrors, skeletons, and ghosts. Could the reason behind the anonymity be because it is really a tale of a true story? I guess we may never know. In our number 5 spot, we have the Codex Seraphinianus. The Codex Seraphinianus is a book written in a language that is not real. Yes, you heard me correctly. This book is written in a language that is not a real language. It's either a masterpiece of art or the devil's book, I'm undecided. Apparently the book is about a world that does not exist. It was made in the late 70s and was published in 1981. The book is over 300 pages long in a language that doesn't exist. And it is full of illustrations of plants, animals, food, games, buildings, maps, and much more. It is one thing to write a book in a fake language that is 50 pages. Okay, sure, that sounds like a fun art project. Maybe fun isn't the right word, but that sounds like a challenging art project. Let's give it that. But to write a book that's 300 pages in a language that you've made up, that to me screams that this author maybe knows real live fairies or is friends with some kind of alien species, because how in the world do you commit to writing that many pages in a fake language? In any case, no one has ever cracked the code and figured out what the heck the book is about. That leads me to think that it's either something wondrous like the language of real live fairies or something demonesque. Regardless, I'm concluding that it's most likely cursed. In our number 4 spot, we have The Book of Lies and The Book of the Law by Aleister Crowley. I honestly couldn't decide which book to choose for this spot, and since they are both from the same author, I decided to group them together. The reason being is because the author is quite dark, and anything produced by him is most likely a product of his energy. But that might be controversial to say, as a lot of people from the occult community praise him and think he did a lot of great in the world. But others disagree. This is a man that was a self-proclaimed occultist and magician who was alive during the period of 1875 to 1947 and lived in England. He had a large following of people who wanted to learn magic, and he was known for channeling spirits and doing group magical naked rituals. If you catch my drift. Please catch my drift. He was actually kicked out of Italy in 1923 after word got around about his gatherings. Understandable. He understood himself to be a prophet, with the task to help bring humanity into the next era. Sounds like a true narcissist to me. In any case, his books completely creep me out, and so I had to add them to the list. In our number 3 spot, we have the Grand Grimoire. Known for being a book about black magic, the Grand Grimoire is such a mysterious book that no one quite knows when it was written. There are different editions that date back to 1521, 1522, and even 1421, but most speculate that it was most likely written in 1702 or 1750. Alas, a very mysterious book. This book is supposed to be a sort of guidebook that has gathered information from the original writings of King Solomon. There are instructions to summon Lucifer, aka the devil. Lovely. It is apparently 2 books in one. The first book is how to summon a demon and make it do your bidding, and the second is how to make a pact with a demon. There are also simple spells and rituals for the practitioner. I think it goes without saying that if you're reading a book about having a convo with the devil, then you're probably reading a curse book. Case closed. In our number 2 spot, we have Necronomicon. Okay, this book gives me the creeps straight away. It's so dark visually, and right away you just know that it isn't a book about how to make your dreams come true. It's more about how to destroy others' dreams. Okay, I'm joking, but honestly I think it's possibly worse than that. Known for being one of the most haunted books of all time, you just know that this book is cursed. Arguably, if anyone were ever given this book, then they might have someone wanting having to curse them because its low vibes are just screaming off of its pages, and who would want that for anyone? Apparently inside its pages are instructions to contact your deceased loved ones, and there are pretty frightening pictures on its pages. The original copy of the book is actually kept inside a locker within Massachusetts Miskatonic University. If that's not telling you everything, then I don't know what to tell you. In our number 1 spot, we have the Book of Soyga. This is a book that is known to be a treatise on magic. The book is written in Latin and is said to have spells. Apparently it talks about astrology and helps with demon and angel identification. The book is also known as Aldaria. The book was famously owned by scholar John Dee, who was an advisor to Queen Elizabeth I. It is said that John Dee was unable to understand several tables contained in the book, and so he resorted to talking to angels through a medium by the name of Edward Kelly to help him with figuring out the book. The book was said to be lost for many years until 2 copies of the manuscript was found in 1994 in 2 different libraries by none other than Deborah Harkness, the author of the Discovery of Witches series. The series that starts off with a girl that discovers an ancient book that holds the secrets of the world. Sound familiar? I loved the TV series and haven't read the books, but I think I will now because I'm definitely now convinced that there's secrets from the Book of Soyga in Deborah's books. Excuse me as I go order a copy online. Okay, well that was a fun list. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Aleister Crowley, your host, and see you next time. Good day.